Thunder playoff postgame. Game 6 is a wrap here in Denver. The Thunder falls to the Nuggets 119-107, and this series is now all knotted up 3-3. Game 7 up next for Oklahoma City and Denver. We've got a drive-through experience for you in downtown OKC between 9 a.m. and 12 p.m. on Saturday, where Thunder entertainers will paint your ride with window chalk and Thunder car flags. The first 300 fans will enjoy a honey butter chicken biscuit courtesy of Whataburger. Visit okcthunder.com/playoff central for more info. Hey everybody, welcome back inside a Ball Arena. I'm Paris Lawson, sitting next to Royce Young. And Royce, we talked about the fact that the Thunder, going into that fourth quarter, they had a deficit, but this isn't something that is new for this team over the course of this playoff series. The Nuggets, we heard from Coach Dagnall, just simply outplayed the Thunder in the second half of this game. But if you're in that Thunder locker room, Royce, what's your anticipation for the things that are top of mind, that are kind of easy, tangible takeaways from this game that you can carry over to Game 7?
Well, again, you know, I think as the coaching staff kind of goes back and reviews some of the tape, they'll have a better view of it than certainly me who just watched it. But it did feel like the shot quality was pretty good throughout this one. And, you know, again, that sometimes is – there's variance in shot making, but it feels especially true when you're on the road. That's something I think that you can hopefully lean into and trust a little bit more on your home floor. Of course, the pressure of a Game 7 is going to be a new experience for this young Thunder team, and having to kind of lean into that opportunity to learn and grow from that. So, you know, I think for the Thunder, there's a lot of reason to kind of walk out of here and say, look, we have home court advantage. This is, like Coach Mark said, this is what you go through the entire regular season for. You had to win one here in Denver to get it back after losing Game 1, and you did that. And it was all for having this Game 7 at home. Of course, you would have wanted to get it done here tonight, but the opportunity is still right in front of them in a Game 7.
I love that Coach Dagnall brought up the fact that the shot quality, upon first glance, he's definitely going to go back and look at it. They have all the analytics to really determine the true shot quality. But he said at first glance, they're decent looks. And the Denver Nuggets, they're going to mix up those defensive coverages. In Oklahoma City, we saw a lot of different looks from them tonight, driving into the paint, really collapsing that defense. Guys like Cason Wallace knocked down several of those looks early on in this game.
Yeah, that's a great call. And, you know, Cason Wallace, you know, getting those looks and those opportunities and rhythm is always huge. I'd also point out that SGA was magnificent tonight. And to me, like, you know, if you're looking for bright sides, SGA and the way that Denver has schemed him throughout the series with all the heavy zones, like this almost triangle and two, the way that they've gapped him, really tried to keep him limited from getting into the paint. That to me is a real positive of that. SGA looked a lot more comfortable in getting to his spots, knocked down a couple three-pointers, and his floor game overall was efficient and solid. So, you know, when it comes to Game 7s, a lot of times you need the cream of the crop to rise, and SGA's got good momentum for himself, at least, going into that Game 7.
I know a lot's going to be made about the fact that he got into that foul trouble early, but you have to remember, the Denver Nuggets on the other end of the floor, they're throwing 3 or 4 players at him every single possession. So the fact that Shea is able to break free, get to these spots, knock down these shots, and get really quality looks, that says a lot about his game, and that's why he's a front-running contender for MVP in this league. It just goes to show nothing comes easy in the NBA, but especially, Royce, during the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's what Shea was able to get a little bit more of tonight, was some stuff in transition, downhill at the rim, and anytime you're getting some of those, you know, obviously it gets you in a much better rhythm, and then that opens up a little bit more of the mid-range stuff that he's so good at, and obviously the Nuggets are just, you know, bear-hugging him every time he goes anywhere on the court, because they understand the physicality that they've got to play SGA with and try to be make it as difficult for him to get to his spots as they possibly can.
Yeah, great composure by Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and overall great game by him in this Game 6 here tonight. All right, stick with us here on Thunder Playoff Postgame. When we come back, we'll hear from News 9's own Steve McGehee to help us break down tonight's matchup.
Air Comfort Solutions has always stood for cooling, heating, plumbing, and electrical services you can count on. Assuring comfort since 2004, our Oklahoma Strong team stands for accuracy, confidence, and support where and when homes need us most. Today, with our refreshed look and our expanded services, ACS stands for achieving 100% customer satisfaction, as we stand tall and do it all for OKC homes. Like a $69 AC tune-up to keep your home comfortable year-round. For whatever your home needs, don't stress. Call ACS.
Experience the sweet, vibrant flavors of Mexico in every spoonful of Brahms' new fancy sundaes. Enjoy a cascade of fresh fruits on Brahms' Tarta de Fresa Crema Sundae. Indulge in creamy cinnamon-kissed ice cream with silky caramel on the Chongo's Zamorano Sundae. Dive into strawberry paradise with Brahms' Fresas con Crema Sundae and savor each caramel-filled bite of Brahms' Sopapilla Cheesecake Sundae. Authentic flavors, bold traditions, and irresistible sweetness in every scoop only at Brahms.
Big wins are blooming across Riverwind Casino.
And the jackpots have never been sweeter.
Go all in on your favorite table games.
Hedge your bets on the biggest wins and unbeatable entertainment.
Use your wild card for the best perks and the top rewards.
And play for your share of the $100,000 Lucky May Days giveaway. Win with the best.
And we'll see you at Riverwind.
Here in the Mile High City for Game 6 between the Thunder and the Denver Nuggets. And the Nuggets took this one 119-107. And this series is now tied 3-3 and heading to a Game 7 in just a few days. Immediately after each game, stream Thunder post-game playoff coverage and local Cardinals or Royals games on the FanDuel Sports Network app. Subscribe now. Hey everybody, welcome back inside of Ball Arena. I'm Paris Lawson, that's Royce Young, and joining us now is News 9's own Steve McGehee. And Steve, we've talked to you after every single game, and it feels like the Thunder has gone into several of these games with the fourth quarter deficit. What did you see that was kind of a difference in this fourth quarter today?
Well, it was tough for the Thunder. I thought that opening possession for OKC, they missed 2 threes on that first possession in the fourth. That kind of set the tone for the rest of the quarter. And Denver, you know, they had problems finishing in the fourth quarter. They had all the energy tonight in the fourth. They were making the shots. Oklahoma City missed their first 7 threes to start the fourth quarter. I think that was a big time. That really hurt them to try to get back in this game. But the one positive I took from that fourth quarter was don't let these Denver starters sit. Try to fight and get back, and that's what Jokic had to play pretty much till the end because they have 2 days rest now going into Game 7. But I loved how Oklahoma City fought late to keep it close, to keep the starters for Denver still on the court.
Steve, I wanted to ask you about SGA tonight. Had a big game offensively and was able to get things going. Obviously, the foul trouble disrupted a little bit of his rotations, uncharacteristic for SGA to get into that kind of foul trouble. But what did you see from Shea tonight?
He was great. I was concerned a little bit about it looked like he was messing with his hand in there in the first half, but him to play that well with 4 fouls, he got that 4th foul with Joker, kind of stripped the ball, and he kind of retaliated back and got caught. But I thought he played well. The supporting cast around him, questionable. J-Dub didn't shoot the ball well. He can shoot better, and he probably will shoot better in game number 7. But Shea did everything he could to help this team in the fourth quarter. But, the issue was the ball just would not go in the basket primarily in the entire second half.
Now, Steve, we've talked about the bench for the Thunder so far in this season, and one guy that was a pretty big bright spot in the first half in particular, Cason Wallace, not just in this game, but what have you seen from him over the course of this series as a whole?
He's not afraid of the moment. I love Cason Wallace, and of course we know he's a young basketball player just wrapping up year number 2, and he's only going to get better. He has quick hands. He's only going to get better. I love when he's on the floor because he puts so much pressure on the defenders, whether it's Jamal Murray or someone else, even the taller guys, Michael Porter Jr. and Aaron Gordon. But I love it when he comes on the floor. And he'd be starting for a lot of NBA teams, as we mentioned in past shows. But, we're going to need Cason Wallace, and we're going to need everybody, bench and starters, to come alive there in game number 7. I would imagine they will. You win 68 games, and there's a reward to have Game 7 on your home court. And I think that means everything.
Yeah, that's something Coach Mark said post-game as well of, that's what you fight through the whole regular season to get this. And so thinking ahead to that Game 7, this is a situation that the core of the Nuggets has been in multiple times. Jokic and Murray, they've been tested in these Game 7s. This will be a new experience for this young Thunder team, but this has been kind of an uncommon group in terms of their poise and composure. So how do you kind of see that chess match working out?
This is a great test for this young team. We've heard so much nationally about this being a young team, and they are, but they're gaining playoff experience by the game. And so this is kind of what you want to see them to be in. Home court advantage, Game 7, win or it's over, or you win and go on to the Western Conference Finals to play Minnesota. This is a good situation. Hopefully they have learned from the mistakes here in Game 6. It came down to just not making shots at the right time, and they can play better. And, hopefully Paycom Center will energize this team.
One guy we were talking about who we haven't talked about at all throughout this entire series, Julian Strother, who just electrified, it felt like, this Denver crowd. What did you see from him tonight, and just how do you slow down a guy like that moving forward?
That's what they needed. They needed someone, Peyton Watson, Russell Westbrook, somebody to step up, and Christian Brown also stepped up for them, I think, with 23 points, and Strother finished with 15. Those were two difference makers for Denver in this game. Of course, Jokic is going to get him, but Strother and Christian Brown, I think they were really probably the two MVPs for Denver tonight.
And Steve, what can the Thunder do to get some of their other guys? Paris mentioned Case and Wallace, but Aaron Wiggins had some opportunities, and Alex Caruso missed some shots as well. So you have to think that on your home floor, sometimes that is an advantage, is that those extra players, those role players, often perform better on their home floor.
Wiggins missed a couple of threes there, and it kind of, maybe he started thinking about that, and the other shots were tough to go. J-Dub misses a breakaway dunk. It was one of those weird nights. They couldn't make a free throw in the first half. They had 9 turnovers. There's a lot of little things that didn't go right for Oklahoma City tonight, but be thankful that game number 7 is at the Paycom Center in Oklahoma City.
A lot to look forward to. Just a couple of days away in Oklahoma City, Game 7. That's pretty exciting. Pretty big environment, I can imagine, in Oklahoma City. Steve, thanks so much for joining us.
It's going to be loud. Bring your earplugs.
That's right. All right, we've got more coming for you here on Thunder Playoff Postgame. Stick with us right after this break. We'll be right back.
My doctor is my hero.
My doctor makes me happy, makes me feel safe.
It helps me get strong.
We're just so grateful that we don't have to travel out of state.
Oklahoma Children's Hospital cares for my child like their own.
Gives us hope. And has our trust.
Leadership starts at home. That's why Ford is from America, for America. And with a lineup of our most popular Ford trucks and SUVs, we're for Oklahoma, too. Including F-150, Bronco, and Expedition. That's our leadership lineup. Right now, get employee pricing. You pay what we pay. Ford, from America, for America. At your best in Oklahoma Ford dealers. Proud truck partner of the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Hey, have you heard what's happening at Mathis Home? The Monumental Savings Event is happening right now. Save big on our newest arrivals. We have hundreds of sofas with styles you love at unbeatable prices. Like this one. At just $5.99, you can enjoy this contemporary sofa by Ashley, complete with 5 accent pillows. Just one of over 100 great sofas in stock and ready for you to enjoy tonight with fast and free delivery. So don't miss out on the Monumental Savings Event happening at your furniture superstore, Mathis Home.
Back inside of Ball Arena here in the Mile High City, the Thunder taking on the Denver Nuggets in these Western Conference semifinals. Fall short tonight, 119-107, and this series now all tied up 3-3, and we're heading to a Game 7, and this is going to be a first for a lot of these Thunder players. But how about this energy that we saw back in Oklahoma City? This is a view from Thunder Hall. How about this turnout? Just great energy out there at what is typically Fassler Hall, but turns into Thunder Hall here during the playoffs. I know it's not necessarily the result we wanted tonight, but best believe that energy could be felt all the way out here in Denver. Great shot there of all of the awesome Thunder fans. Thank you guys so much for staying out late and watching these games here tonight. And as we welcome you back inside of Ball Arena, we've heard from Coach Dagnall, we heard from Steve McGehee. The things about this game that went wrong for the Thunder that they didn't necessarily like about this game, the good news is a lot of them are controllables. Mm-hmm. Things like fouls, things like making sure that you make the easy bunnies around the rim, no turnovers. Those are the things that the Thunder typically does pretty well, and that's pretty characteristic of them on a normal night.
I was thinking the same thing, especially about the turnover, especially the first half. Thunder got a little bit sloppy there with the basketball, just some kind of uncharacteristic turnovers. Like you mentioned, I mean, they smoked some layups that they normally made, obviously. obviously J-Dub with that finish there. I think sometimes when you get into these situations, you might be kind of expecting contact at the rim. And the Nuggets did a good job of kind of backing off at different times, and so that contact didn't come. But I think as you fast forward this into thinking about Game 7, one thing I do have to kind of fact check myself on is I talked about Thunder not having Game 7 experience. There are two players that do. SGA
and Lou Dort.
Lou Dort had one of the best games of his whole life in a Game 7
against the Houston Rockets.
Obviously, a different environment in the bubble.
Yeah.
No fans in the building, and so I think the fans will be highly felt in this Game 7. But those two players do have the experience of kind of feeling what a Game 7 is like.
And Royce, I'm curious because again, this is a new experience for a lot of these Thunder players, and so with a team that goes up against each other as often as these two teams do. The Denver Nuggets, the Thunder has a lot of familiarity with them during the regular season. You add 6 more games here in the postseason. What are the challenges that come with that level of familiarity?
I mean, it's amazing to me. I was listening to people in Oklahoma City, some of the local radio people talking about just like how the Thunder don't really look like the Thunder right now. And it's like, have you ever seen playoff basketball? Because it's exactly what you're talking about. It's just the scheming, the familiarity, just the individual familiarity. It's like, SGA has the most moves, I think, of any player in the entire league. But the Nuggets, they've seen him a lot by now. And they have seen him on tape, and they've seen him live and in person. So these players are more conditioned to defend those sorts of things than anybody else. So it gets harder and harder game by game. You can't just keep making magical adjustments to unlock something new, because you're basically kind of tapping the well dry at a certain point. So that's why a lot of times Game 7s are complete rock fights. They're some of the ugliest games of the series. The tension of the game sometimes really rises up. And I'd also say Denver mentioned their experience of this. This is the kind of the inverse of their last series. That's
a good point.
They were down 3-2 or up 3-2. Going to LA, and the Clippers won that Game 6 at home. And then now the series came back here to Game 7. A lot of people felt like the pressure was on the Nuggets because of what had just happened. But then the Nuggets showed how important Game 7 at home can be and really dominated throughout that game.
Yeah, between the familiarity and also just the environment of the playoffs, that's what this time of year is all about. And we're going to a Game 7. It's super stressful. It's really highly anticipatory, but that is a sign that these are two highly competitive, high-level, good teams pouring it all out here on the floor, and it's leading to a tied series going into a Game 7. And so with all that familiarity, Royce, it's really interesting to see the fact that the Thunder hasn't strayed away from its identity. It's the same Thunder team that we've seen throughout the course of that 82-game season. And they're mixing things up. They're tinkering with things, but this is still Thunder basketball.
I mean, the core of the Thunder is to put 5 on the floor and solve problems together, and that's what they're looking to do. And we saw a lot of that throughout this game, and Denver's throwing so many different looks at them, hybrid zones, all these sorts of different looks that are really kind of testing the Thunder to try to kind of figure things out. But, that's part of the challenge that you have to do, is kind of adjust on the fly. And I'd also, kind of point out that as you go throughout these series, one thing that I would caution people not to do is, and it's hard for me too, Paris, is don't look back, because I think a lot of people can look back and go, oh, if you just won Game 1. You've got You've got Game 7 in front of you. You've got that opportunity to eliminate the Nuggets and move on to the Western Conference Finals right there in front of you. So you can coulda, woulda, shoulda later on if you want to, but right now you got to keep your eyes on what's ahead for the Thunder, and I can assure you that's what this team is doing.
Exactly. You can't go back. You can't turn back time. All you have is the opportunity in front of you. And the opportunity for Oklahoma City, it is Game 7, as we mentioned, back inside of Oklahoma City. And here's that game time. It is Sunday, and that is going to be an early tip-off, 2:30 p.m. Central Time. You can catch the game on ABC, or even better, just come down to Paycom Center, be a part of this raucous crowd that we are so used to in Loud City. 2:30 p.m. Central Time tip-off, Game 7 of the Western Conference semifinals between the Thunder and the Nuggets. So, it's a little nerve-wracking when you think about it. It's a little nerve-wracking. It makes you a little nervous, but that is kind of a great place to be in, because there's a lot on the line and a great opportunity to rise to a challenge.
A lot of people love to use the phrase of, like, the best phrase in all of sports is Game 7. Those are the best 2 words in all of sports. But, I think a lot of people would have been like, well, I would have rather not seen that. But, again, that's what's in front of you right here. That's the opportunity that you have. And I can promise you that this young group is definitely going to need to feel the emotion and the wind behind their sails of that home crowd really pushing them through.
I know they are looking forward to being back inside of that familiar territory of Paycom Center back in Oklahoma City. All right, stick with us here on Thunder Playoff Postgame. We will hear from a Thunder player right after this.
My doctor is my hero.
My doctor makes me happy, makes me feel safe.
It helps me get strong.
We're just so grateful that we don't have to travel out of state.
Oklahoma Children's Hospital cares for my child like their own.
Gives us hope. And has our trust.
Leadership starts at home. That's why Ford is from America, for America. And with a lineup of our most popular Ford trucks and SUVs, we're for Oklahoma too. Including F-150, Bronco, and Expedition. That's our leadership lineup. Right now, get employee pricing. You pay what we pay. Ford, from America, for America. At your best in Oklahoma Ford dealers. Proud truck partner of the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Hey, have you heard what's happening at Mathis Home? The Monumental Savings event is happening right now. Save big on our newest arrivals. We have hundreds of sofas with styles you love at unbeatable prices. Like this one. At just $5.99, you can enjoy this contemporary sofa by Ashley, complete with 5 accent pillows. Just one of over 100 great sofas in stock and ready for you to enjoy tonight with fast and free delivery. So don't miss out on the Monumental Savings event happening at your furniture superstore, Mathis Home.
Welcome back to Ball Arena here in the Mile High City. The Thunder are squaring off against the Denver Nuggets here in the Western Conference semifinals. Game 6 now complete. The Thunder fall short 119-107, and this series is now all knotted up 3-3, and we are officially heading to a Game 7 that is going to take place on Sunday. And luckily for Oklahoma City, that game will be inside of Paycom Center. So a lot to look forward to. You can anticipate with the way that this series has been going, that is going to be a really, really good game in Oklahoma City. And Royce, you've been a part of a lot of Game 7s. You've witnessed a lot of them a lot inside of Paycom Center. What can we expect?
I mean, a lot of times, when I've been to Game 7s, so much of it is the story is written by your main guys at the first and foremost. The ball's going to be in their hands the most. The possessions feel weightier than any other game in the series. One of the two teams is their season's going to end that night. And so everybody's got that in the back of their heads. And so you tend to trust what you trust most throughout that game. But also what you see so often in Game 7s is some unexpected kind of characters often pop up throughout games, and they can really make huge impacts throughout it. So sometimes that's in the first quarter, sometimes that's in the fourth quarter, but what you really kind of experience through a lot of Game 7s is you really got to tap into your team. And a lot of that is, lean into your identity, believe in who you are. And that's what we've seen from the Thunder all season long, and that there's no reason to believe that they can't do that, even with their youth, that they can't do that exact thing in a Game 7.
We've seen so much poise and composure from this young Thunder group all season long. Even here in these very playoffs, we have seen them rise to challenges. No reason why you shouldn't believe that they wouldn't be able to rise to that Game 7 challenge as well. But Royce, coming into this Game 6, we had talked so much about understanding the mindset of your opponent, right? The Denver Nuggets, knowing that their season's on the line, they're going to be scrapping, clawing, fighting. Well, now both teams going to have that same sort of weight on their shoulders going into Game 7. How do you manage that if you're the Thunder?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is, get good rest over this next day, because this is, finally 2 days off in this series. And so both teams, I think, are going to really embrace that. You got an early tip-off again. But, as you go through these playoff series, and one thing that often bears out is, every game kind of takes on its own life. There's, different calls that you don't get, different moments that don't go your way. Tonight there was a few, situations where it was like a bad bounce, long rebounds that just outstretched hand didn't go in your hands. Yeah. So you kind of hope that over just kind of the course of the series, those things kind of even out, and the team that's supposed to win wins. And so that's what you're kind of hoping for here. And again, you always have an advantage when you're playing that last one on your home floor. And so that's what I'm sure the Thunder are going to lean into, is that opportunity.
And one of our biggest takeaways from Game 6 was the fact that Coach Dagnall said this is a better team now than they were at the start of this series, this very playoff series against the Denver Nuggets. And so this is another opportunity for the Thunder to stack on to that experience in a Game 7 in Oklahoma City. All right, let's get you over to the press room so we can hear from Jalen Williams, J-Dub, who's at the podium.
Besides makes and misses, what did you feel like were maybe controllable things on your end tonight?
I think we put him on the free throw line too much. That's a controllable for sure. I think we didn't do the best job like controlling some of the stretches of the game. So I think kind of panicked a little bit going down 8. I actually don't know if panic's the right word. I think we just didn't have the right process in regards to how to get stops. And I think we kind of paid the price for that. And then the game kind of got away.
Dub, obviously, like every game for you in this series has not been the same, but like of the games that maybe sort of feel similar to this, like what are some of the things, is there a common denominator of things that you feel you could do differently and that you maybe want to turn for Game 7?
Make shots. I think I got to spots I wanted to get to and they didn't go in. It's just how basketball works. But nah, not really. I think I had a good process of what I was doing. I just hurt us tonight not making shots.
Like that's affecting you?
What?
The thing that you can or cannot.
Your mic cut out for
right,
the first part of that.
The thing that you can or cannot talk about, the wrist. Do you feel like that's affected you at all this series?
Nah, just my process about going about it. Nah, that's been something that's been going on all year. So, yeah, I don't really have too much to say to it. That's not the reason why I'm making or missing shots.
What's something that's been going on all year?
Just like, I mean, we've all seen the tape on my hand. That's not like anything new for this series, so it hasn't affected anything that's been going on.
Dub, you're understandably hard on yourself after a loss like this. How do you sort of put that behind you, maybe emotionally, mentally ahead of a Game 7?
I think we've been big on just saying, like, it's 1st to 4, so obviously this game, you kind of just have to be willing to wipe the slate clean. And, I don't think anybody on our team really cares about the game after we play it. You know what I mean? Like, we still have to go out, and the next game's going to go up when it's going to be 0-0, and we're going to have to play another really good game. So I think that's how I think about it. I think that's how the team thinks about it. And, yeah, just kind of be ready to bounce back. That's what we've been doing all year, and we're going to have to do it again.
In terms of the half court, how do you find the balance between creating for yourself and for others? Obviously, with the assist tonight, you were a playmaking expert, but in terms of finding that balance, like, how is it for you mentally?
Just trusting my teammates. I'm gonna get shots that I want to shoot, and I'm gonna get opportunities to score the ball. But I think what makes our team really good is we have other guys that are ready for those moments and ready to play off the catch and make shots. So I try and always keep that in the back of my head. And in order to win games, you need however many guys are playing in the game to be ready to make plays, and we've been able to do that a lot. So I think just finding a balance is like just understanding where guys are on the floor and what we're trying to get accomplished offensively.
You said you feel like your process has been good. Is there anything the Nuggets have thrown at you over the last 3 games in terms of kind of individual matchups or different looks that you feel like is at least making it tougher for you to get to your spot?
Not honestly. I think it's been pretty consistent the whole series. There's been like tweaks that I feel like only each team would probably know just when you get into like the grit of a series, but I feel like it's kind of been the same. Like, we've all seen the zone and stuff. Like, that's not really new to the series. And I think our matchups have almost been the same the whole entire time. So I wouldn't say there's been any, like, extra curveballs to the series that they've thrown out.
Dub, you, Mark, and the rest of the team have all talked about how this series has made you guys stronger and more resilient throughout. But you guys have had plenty of challenges standing up, and, like, Game 2 was a big one, 4, 5. How will that sort of help you, even though I know it's a new environment in Game 7? How will those experiences help you?
Yeah, I mean, those are experiences where you can lay down and accept defeat, and we've done a good job at standing tall with it. So this is another opportunity to do that, and everybody's excited for the moment.
Doug, you at the end of the game there, you were sort of lingering on the bench, sitting down for a while with the towel on your head, and Caruso was the hand that reached out to you. Sort of what was going through your head then, and what did that mean for him to sort of pull you up?
AC always gets me off the bench, win or loss. that's just like a routine thing. So I don't want to drag that too high into something. But I don't know. He's just a good vet. Like he's just somebody there to pick you up when you're down. And obviously, I didn't play the way I wanted to play, so I was just trying to process just the game and my emotions, and that was really it. But AC always gets us off the bench. It's usually me and Jay Will. Like if we're sitting, he usually picks us both up. But yeah, I don't want to like read too much into it. But he is a good leader, and he's somebody that can pick you up while you're down.
What looked different from Denver tonight, especially from Strother and Brown?
They shot well. They came and made some big buckets. I don't want to make it like downplay what they did. But yeah, they came in, were ready, made shots. So you got to tip your hat to them. Who'd you say, Strother and who? Yeah, they hit shots. They played within the team. So yeah, we'll have to look at that and go from there. But they were ready to play.
Was that the difference in the fourth quarter? Because the last two fourth quarters for Denver have been iffy, but not tonight.
Yeah, I think that probably has something to do with it. Strother hit some big threes down the stretch. Christian was making plays all night, cutting, hitting threes. So yeah, they were definitely a big difference maker tonight.
Anyone else? Thanks, Dub.
Cool.
Yeah, you heard it from J-Dub. This Thunder group looking at that Game 7 as an opportunity and a challenge to rise to. And so that's the mantra. That is the mentality that this Thunder group has. And certainly all the Thunder fans should be carrying that as well.
Yeah, shame on us for waiting until Dub to remind us, but 0-0.
0-0.
The Game 7 is going to start 0-0. And a great point by Dub as well about kind of thinking through the course of this series of the answers that the Thunder have had when their backs kind of got pushed against the wall, responding to that Game 1 disappointment, responding to what happened in Game 3. So this is another opportunity to do that, to get to the zero mentality and have a great punch in that Game 7 and stand back up and show the Thunder, show everyone who the Thunder really are.
And do what they do all season long, and that is play Thunder basketball and rise to the challenge. Going to be a really good opportunity in Game 7 on Sunday back in Oklahoma City. But that wraps us up here inside of Ball Arena and in Denver. Game 6 coverage here inside of Ball Arena. Once again, our final score, 119-107, with the series now tied 3-3. For Royce Young, I'm Paris Lawson. A reminder to join us for a complete breakdown and reaction following Game 7 from Paycom Center on Sunday afternoon. Until then, good night from Ball Arena in Denver.